So we don't have that much. So we don't have that many games left to analyze. I'm pretty sure I skipped the Mary's tournament, and there's a couple of retro ones that I want to look at. We're gonna see a couple of the retro games here, but I want to do a player breakdown, and we're gonna start off with Eugene, last year's team captain, and then we're gonna go on to a couple different players. Who do you think's next? Probably the next one is gonna be pretty obvious, and then we're gonna go down the line picking out a few different types of players and seeing where we could improve. No one's safe. I'm also going to be picking on some of our players that don't get too much time on the field and show what's the biggest difference between a player like Eugene and then a player such as a bench player. I might also add a little bit of myself here, but it's mostly going to be focusing on Eugene. So, Eugene is a handler first and foremost. So we're starting off with the one in the gym. This is last year when they were on the team. It was coaches versus players. Right away, Eugene and JP do a little bit of a give and go action, bring it to the center of the field, off of that pull. And this action right here doesn't do too much between Eugene and JP. But the main thing I want to point out is how Eugene instinctively clears out this way because the sideline is really close over here, right? So if Eugene tries to clear out here, what that does is closes the field lot, especially since we'll be forcing flick. Josh will be coming here, and then if Eugene comes this way, we've set a cup. So Eugene instinctively clears to that break side and pulls me out of the lane. And as he's watching, you'll see I kind of made a mistake of over chasing. So I over chase, and Eugene's able to use my momentum. He's watching the play, very heads up, and as my momentum goes this way, he stops and then goes the opposite way. Try and go for the upline. JP won't hit it because there's bodies, and then there's that turnover, and then where are we? Okay, so there's that turnover, and Eugene immediately comes to a position where he could threaten, trying to make the throw harder, but then still, as soon as if Perez was to turn around and look at me, Eugene would close out really quickly. So over here, Eugene has it over on the sideline. And this is a cheeky throw. So he has the vision to see that even though there are people going over, he has a soft flow touch to put it right over to Jen. And you'll notice the flight path. Watch the flight path. It only goes as high as it needs to. We're indoors, so it doesn't matter as much, but it doesn't go too high. Perfectly sits her, and Jen's able to pass it back, but it's a little bit behind. And because it's behind, it goes behind his body, and he's not able to rotate enough. One thing that we have to be careful of is jumping when we're not sure where the frisbee is going to be. Because once we're in the air, we can't adjust in the air. But if we were on the floor, Eugene would be able to readjust a little bit better. But Jen should have put that out. And then over here, Eugene makes a mistake a little bit by closing out on me too aggressively. And then, like Eugene punished my momentum, I get to punish his momentum. Because this swing isn't that detrimental. But me going upline is much more detrimental. And you can see that he's focused, making sure that I really want to break him, but he's not letting me throw into this area back here for a goal, so I have to dump it back. terrible throw. Alright, so over here, after Keith's turnover, me and Eugene start to run, and Eugene follows that rule where he stays closer to the middle, but I make a mistake and I start going towards the sideline. And because of the pathing, Eugene's able to track that down, and with great athleticism, he's able to track it down, snatch it out of the air. And you'll notice that when it comes to his mechanics, he's running completely, and he's within his frame until he jumps right here. He jumps, and because he was in his frame, he was able to control his body. There's a lot of times where I see a lot of players, they start throwing their arms up, or their mechanics as they're running and moving starts getting a little bit weird. But Eugene's mechanics are always in frame with each other. He's tight. He's able to shift right there. He probably intended to jump here, but then he steps out and then gets that grab. All right, over here, you'll notice that I try to poach off for a second. Um, Eugene probably could have crashed a little bit, but this is okay. That little jab step by him, and this throw is perfectly balanced. Right, so that there was Eugene throwing. So Eugene's over here. Someone's doing a cut to the. There's no break side because the mark isn't doing a great job. But someone is going there. Eugene throws it. I don't know what the wind might look like, but he just throws it way too far out. And then you see him, he takes a stance here. He's waiting. He's not concerned about this person. He's waiting to see what
Maybe you're
threats will
slow.
develop. He starts to see this threat developing, follows it. Oh, and he reads the frisbee. Oh, wow. How did he notice that so fast?
Maybe you're slow.
So he completely read where the frisbee would go, and this person would have grabbed it otherwise. I have no idea how he figured that out. Not sure what happened there with Josh, but looking at Eugene, he immediately covers deep, which is the most threatening, and then he covers what is the immediate threat. So Eugene watches, he immediately starts to turn his hips, sees who the threats are, and whoever's closer to the frisbee is a bigger threat than who's far away. The farther they are, the more room for error there is. Which one is Eugene? Probably the one picking up.
What did you get?
So that's a backhand
Read that,
hook.
read that, read that.
And if you look at the flight path of that, it made enough distance, but because it curved out so much, it was a little bit harder to read. So to do that, you need to have really good accuracy, but it didn't pan out on this one. And me and Eugene both have backhand leg as handlers. All right, so over here, Eugene is kind of shuffling, trying to be farther than these people, but in a way that he could go this way or this way. I don't prefer that. I would rather him flip his hips so that he commits to the more obvious threat, and then he could readjust as he goes. Because as he goes here, this is really hard to track down. The offense has an advantage here. But if he turned his hips, maybe it would.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another throw by Eugene. Eugene's in the corner. Can't see him. But look at that flight path. So that flight path goes way up and it's kind of bladey and it's kind of dropping around here. So we're really asking
It's very
Patrick to
left.
read it,
That's it.
right? So that's not an ideal throw. Ideally, Patrick is running and he catches it out here, but that's really far. So we have to throw it earlier. One thing you'll notice is Eugene struggles to huck here. And then Eugene goes cross, so he's trying to go for the upline. Notices it's extremely clogged. Notice how many bodies are. But look at all of this open space. Eugene attacks the open space, calls for it. Pat gives it to him, and it's pretty well placed, well grabbed. So over here, Eugene is waiting for it, so he just cut it now. Pass it back to JP, and then he puts his head down to start running. He's about to do a handler bomb, runs deep. Issue is, right now, there's no one remotely close to him. So he should have continued the domination. When you do these first passes, you should go until the person with the frisbee sees that they're getting closed out on. Do a pump fake, and what will happen is the defender will blow by, and then Eugene could run much more effectively. But when you put down your head, especially in this scenario, um, you want to start running as if you still want the frisbee. Don't go into a full out sprint yet, and that causes a turnover. So that's a miscommunication between the two. And then over here, the frisbee looks like it's exactly above him, so it goes past his head, no play. So this is probably fine, a little bit dicey.
Don't be so far away.
But over here, I'd like to see a 7 cut. That's one of our team's new favorite cuts, the 7 cut. That's terrible drawing, but
Don't be too far away.
right
Don't be too
now
far
they're
away.
so focused on that handler
Go two,
bomb,
go two.
and like we're basically just hulking and praying, which isn't good. And that wasn't a great throw by JP either.
Adrian, you're kind of in the camera. What?
All right, so
Do it.
it looks like Eugene was the one to make the move. So this is Eugene setting up, and he could just go back this way, but that gives little time for the handler to develop the throw, and this person could react much more easily to it. So you see Eugene drive towards his person, gets him to shift his momentum going back, and now he makes his play.
Do it.
Looks, throws, well placed. Unfortunately, it's a little high. So with in cuts, we always want our in cuts to be catchable, right? We're either doing in cuts or deep cuts. We're not doing horizontal cuts. And Jen is doing a slightly shallow in cut. So the fact that this popped up, other than the read, is makes it harder for cutters to get it.
Wow.
So Eugene has a frisbee right now. Looks, gets it to JP. So it looks like he's not full out sprinting here. So he goes, throws it to JP, kind of jogs it out.
Let's go, Husky.
Kind of hard to tell what's
Make it
happening
like,
there.
muscular more. Yeah.
Over there,
Let's go, Huskies.
Kayla goes for a break side cut or a backhand side cut, and Eugene throws a no pivot high release backhand. But you'll notice that because it's high release, there's more room for error, and it kind of drops in at an angle here. I don't know if it's a scoober actually. Usually scoobers drop at an angle like that. That might be a scoober or, but I think it's a high release backhand. And because it was dropping in at an angle like this, it makes it harder for players to catch it that are not at a really high level. When we throw, we want the frisbee to float perfectly like this for them, especially at the pancake level. If we could make our cutters always catching at a pancake,
Yeah. Oh
There's
it
no
no.
hole there.
is a lot easier for them. So once again, Eugene puts up a really floaty hook, puts in 50-50s.
Good defense!
Eugene has good defense positioning there. Looks like he's able to help if it were to go up. So this is a better throw. It's just, once again, asking for a lot of replay.
Come on, Cup.
Oh, you guys are pretending?
Okay, so over here, Eugene scoops really well. So this person is the first throwing option. Eugene cuts off that throw and then scoops in, forcing flick.
Pretending?
Oh wait, no, it's a forced backhand. So he just took away the first option and then came into the forced backhand. So one thing Eugene does well here is as soon as the throw goes off, he immediately starts stepping towards where the frisbee would want to go, the handler would want to go. But I don't know whether it's speed or commitment, but handler's able to get free. And you can see Eugene really making sure that the throw, he's challenging the backhand, but he's prioritizing. You could see that he's loaded to jump this way, but he's still challenging that backhand. And then this is a pick. Only it's open. Alright, so with this cut, Eugene going here doesn't pull his defender in. The defender says, whatever, I don't really care. So he goes at him, and now he basically started his upline from here rather than from here. So we want to close out the distance between us and the defender before we make a move. And then we want to give ourselves a long avenue, a long runway. This, as an upline, is not a long runway compared to this. So I would say this is a bit of a mistake.
No, you were open!
And then goes for the reset.
No, you were open!
Get in his stack.
Don't just go deep. Evan, right here! Evan, right here! Right here, Evan!
So Eugene's looking and he sees that JP gets open for a moment, but then notices this poach coming in and then rightfully holsters it.
Right here, Evan!
No.
Finds Jen, gives it back from Eben, and then puts out a good back. That's a better placement.
Yeah.
So Eugene puts out the throw, gets it back. And you could see that as every time Eugene catches the frisbee, he immediately looks to do the next throw and he winds up for it, right? So his head is up looking for the next throw. His motion is already ready to throw in motion. But then if there's nothing, it turns into a fake. No problem. But if there is something, his wind up could turn into a pretty quick release.
Nice.
So gets it to Jen. Jen gets back to Eugene in the middle. And then there you go.
Nice.
He's immediately looking for that break side. Catches it, looks to the break side, hits, and then
Nice.
follows the throw.
Our short passes are way more effective against them. Oh wait, that's not in.
Mm, that's JP this time. I don't know why I have this issue. Okay, so Eugene has the frisbee right now
No.
and hits Nikki up. That's more with
No.
Nikki than it. Actually, that handles like JP. I
No.
think I misidentified the person. Okay, this is Eugene. So very heads up defense. We want to make sure that we're playing team defense, heads up, not just shutting down one person. Same thing there, but I have no idea who this person was looking at. Yeah, who are you throwing to, Shaw Madonna person? But that's a poach D. Eugene wasn't on necessarily. Wait, that looks like JP again. Oh, okay, so this is about Eugene's deep cut. So where did Eugene's deep cut originate from? Where are you? Okay, I see him. So he's right over here. So as soon as um he realizes it's JP with the frisbee, we see him running full speed to an open part of the field. That's
Now
mostly
start the
JP
recording.
hitting that one.
Josh is right there.
Okay, so that's some good give and go with Eugene and JP.
Josh is right there.
Okay, over here, Eugene should have been able to reverse this person's momentum more. So he already has him staggered. He goes over here. If JP pump fakes, this is a perfect moment to blow by him right now. There should be a full commitment upline cut. And then he hits it after, but he just started dancing a little bit too much. Not trusting JP to hit him. Right. So an issue with this is we're trying for some reason Eugene and JP decided that the game plan will be to do handler bombs against a team who's poaching deep. And against a bigger person, it's just hard. So not the best decision. Is that Eugene's throw? I think I'm so Eugene's going for this upline. But this upline is in a way that let me draw this. Eugene goes from here. This is JP. And then let's say there's a mark here. Eugene goes from here to an upline this way. And JP has to hit this, which is a little bit on the difficult side. This is not a great route. I would have rather seen. There's a lot of things that could happen. One that could have been possible would have been a commitment cut. But this is just a hard angle to hit. Even an L cut, going here and then striking this way, but that's still hard. Yeah, I don't know why they they didn't take those few extra one, two, just a few extra steps. So Eugene swings it to Jen, and then there's a seven cut, and then immediately looks for that throw. So that drops in really well to Pat. So let's say let's say this is our field, right? Let's say this is the offense, this is the defense. I say not to curve it, but if the defense is here, they have easier access to this side of the field, right? So it will be a little hard to put it out to this spot if they're not if the O line player isn't gonna beat them in a foot race. So let's get it to go over the head of the defender a little bit and drop somewhere into this side. So that's fine. That's what Eugene did in this throw. But a lot of them, they ended up going like this, right? This is not the throw that I want Eugene to throw. This one's much better.
Stop it there.
Okay, scoop ball.
Watch that, Evan. Watch that. Watch that. Shot.
So over there, you could see Eugene. He's on the outside hip of his defender, of the offensive player. So he's on the outside hip, and he thinks that the person's gonna throw it. So look, he goes from the outside hip, comes around the back, ready to lay out, and then takes the inside hip. So that little thing could have got him a D or have deterred the throw from going up. And then Eugene calls JP off. And then he's looking upfield already before throwing. You have to know what's up here before you pick up the frisbee. So he's staring downfield the entire time, and then perfectly plays it
Wasn't it
down.
just like? See, it's freezing for a second, so it just goes down to the next one.
Okay, gets it to JP a
Freezing
little
for a
bit on the
second, so
high
it just
side.
goes down to the next one.
Ideally, I don't want to see someone having to catch it above their head too much, but that's okay.
Oh, what?
And Eugene clears out deep again, which I don't really like. Because now we have it in the hands of Pat trying to play deep.
JB!
Okay, that's a deep throw by Eugene,
JB!
but it's too late.
JB!
Alright, so they already have someone pretty deep already,
JB!
and he's aiming for JP, but in that case, here's a defender, here's JP, and then here's Pat. And then Eugene's throwing from somewhere over here, and then try to throw over the defender's head to hit JP. Why didn't we just throw over here to Pat? And then Eugene gets the layout D. So let's break down this layout D a little bit. So the person is stagnant, he's not running. Eugene's watching the thrower the entire time, runs past, and tries to get it at its earliest contact. So maybe Eugene could get it without the layout, but to secure it, if Eugene was a little bit later, the offense would have had a hand on it. So we want to lay out for that to really secure that D. And you could see that Eugene's taking a path. If the frisbee goes in a line here, and this person is here, Eugene's cutting that path off. But it all comes from the hustle and watching the thrower.
Shit, that looked like it hurt.
And then it's always a good idea to reset the frisbee when you've done a really cool play. If you just posterize someone or you got a layout or a layout D, you're usually not in the right frame of mind to do a really spectacular throw. So it's better to let someone else do the throw. And then because of JP's throw, the defender hurt Eugene there. So Eugene picks up. Once again with that high release backhand. It's not my favorite. Wind could affect it. The read could be thing. Lots of issues could arise from that.
Bless you. And move it up.
I'd rather you just pivot around and put a gentle pop pass there, like that one. That is a much more favorable pass, I think.
What is Sam doing?
And at this point, Eugene's definitely the best handler, so he wants it in his hands at all times. So getting those mild resets work.
Someone cut! Cut! Sam. John, come back in!
So you could see Eugene. He was moving his head a little bit back and forth. Right here.
John, come back
Look. Just really scanning and looking around the field. Okay, so this throw completely goes awry. My guess is the wind is going this way. But if the wind is going that way, that means look at how that frisbee is flying. That frisbee is slightly tilted this way. So if the wind is pushing that way, it's pushing the bottom of the frisbee. We can't have the bottom of the frisbee face the wind. So it has to be more flat here when we throw it. Because that probably was going to that cutter over there. Right, so over here, this frisbee ends up rising too much. Instead of trying that IO, probably is the Kayla is my guess, and it rose too much. We could have easily faked this and then done a backhand.
Maybe stand back a bit.
Stand back?
No, like actually, because you're right on the line. Maybe stand back a
Okay,
bit.
so this run makes more sense. So what were we talking about earlier? How Eugene immediately went deep. So if there was no defender near him in that last example, but over here, Eugene dumps it off, and look how close these three people are, slowing down their momentum. And now Eugene's first few steps could put. Now they're turning. Meanwhile, Eugene has a full speed, right?
Back?
We want to time it
Like
that way
actually, because you're right on the line.
rather than
shoot.
the Salvador. Alright, so over here, Eugene spins. I do not like that. So he spins right there. All throughout this time. So he goes for his backhand. All throughout this time, he has no idea where anyone is. But if he was looking, he might see that, oh, this person's cutting and this person's cutting. But by the time he gets his head over, he doesn't know what's happening and has no choice but to fake. And I don't like that either, that push pass, because like I said, we don't want anything too floaty that could get affected by the wind, and we don't want to have 50-50s. Forcing someone to jump up for the frisbee just causes more opportunity for error. And JP puts a great throw there.
Kirby, you do not have anybody beat you at the end. The other already going. The other already guarding. Kirby, you do not have anybody beat you at the end.
So this is Eugene and JP, but JP's doing the run this time.
You do not have
So Eugene just got the
anybody
frisbee.
beat you
It's
at the end.
looking.
The
JP
other
run.
already going. The other already guarding. Kirby, that's you, Kirby.
And Eugene places it really well for JP. Once again, I kind of would have preferred it to land here. It kind of tailed out and JP had to hustle it in. Especially since JP was already kind of cutting that way. Drop it on the sideline. But it was still a good throw.
Let's see how Renee, you're not allowing him in. No, Renee. You're not
Alright,
allowing him
so over here, Eugene throws it to
in.
Pat
You're not allowing him in.
and then goes up line. That's a lot of separation from his person, but it's kind of clogged again. And I kind of wish he attacked the sideline more rather than just going straight up this way. The angle of the cut is not optimal. And Pat's throw was just not it. Handler Pat is still developing.
If you have that throw, Matthew might get there if he keeps running. Okay, you gotta play hard.
Right. So Eugene sees that Pat grabbed the frisbee, and at the same time, there's two Marshall defenders already going that way. And the only person ready to explode this way is Eugene. Ebb is not ready, the two Marshall players aren't ready, and Pat's
Gotta
looking
play
at him.
hard on that, Matthew. Yep.
So he explodes, leaves the two defenders over there. And then you can't see what happens, but he gets the frisbee. I wish I could break it down, but you can't see anything. Yeah, so stylistically, Eugene's throws definitely, if I'm the thrower and I'm looking down the field, definitely flies kind of like this. Meanwhile, if you were to look at JP's throws kind of sit over here. Um, Eugene's playstyle is definitely tailored to people who are more athletic. So having a weak team definitely hurt Eugene more than it would hurt a player like JP or like myself.
I feel like there's so many of the other teams.
Especially since his throws are so sharp.
Of the other team. Oh my god, no. Go, go, go. Do
So
it.
again, there, I said sharp, but then he throws high release backhand. JP has to get it here because of the high release backhand. So I don't like that high release backhand if it's not coming perfectly into the person, and especially I don't like it
Oh
outdoors.
my god, no. Go, go, go. Do it, do it. Oh, there, there.
And
Oh my
then
god, no. Go, go, go.
it's
Do it.
okay that Eugene looked this
Do
off,
it. Oh,
and then he
there.
had the vision to find it. But I don't like that spin again.
Good die.
Yeah, man, I'm not doing that.
Eugene threw the first throw. Oh, Eugene got that back again. Oh, he's pump faking when he catches it. And that one was, again, too late. He's throwing it too late, not trusting his cutters to run onto it. But that was a better flight path. I like that flight path more personally for a team level of this. But depending on who's receiving it, if it's Pat, he could go up for it. But if it was, like, say, E back then, E would not be able to go up for it. So we have to not put it too high. Not sure what we're looking at there. So over here, it's a little dicey. Although Eugene gets it to the person, to Eben, it's obvious Eugene does not trust Eben to run it down. So look how Eben has to react to the frisbee. He's running, and then, oh, there he slows down. He slows down. Look at that braking mechanics. He chops, catches it here. Right? So over there, Eugene catches it, gets a little bit of milk, pump fakes it, his defender goes flying. That pump fake makes defenders go fly, passes it to JP, immediately moves, gets it, and then is able to throw it JP for the goal. So Eugene's going deep, JP looks, that's it. Oh, that's my blue
No
shirt.
break, no break.
Okay, so let's watch how Eugene plays this. So It's being force flick. The person's on the break side. Look at this leash that Eugene's giving, and Eugene's not paying attention to what the offensive cutter is doing. He's kind of watching, looking what the thrower is doing and what everyone else is doing because he's not concerned. One thing I don't like is that when it goes up, he kind of watches it, thinking that it might be a turnover, and in that time, Redshirt could have taken off. So we want to assume that the offensive cutter is going to do the right thing and take off, and we're going to assume that the person who catches it is going to do the right thing and catch it and then throw it deep. So this could have been a moment that he got burned. But then as soon as he does, he immediately starts moving to the open side, turns his head to find his person, and then once again, Frisbee's over here. Eugene gives a big leash.
No break, no break. No
But
break,
at
no
all
break.
times, you could
No
see that he's
break.
always looking to help.
Force away!
And then once again, where's Eugene? Eugene's over here. His person's over here. Huge leash. And he called no break there. He's following his person.
It's up.
And then he's following his person right there. Let's see last time we could see him. So he's following his person. His person's somewhere behind these people. So somewhere around there. Big leash. And then as soon as he hears up, turns around, goes for the play. And then I like the way that throw looks. That
Yeah,
throw looks
JP.
really nice.
Nikki,
And
behind
into
you.
stride also.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Get him a stop! Up!
yeah. Yeah, Patrick.
It's up. Eugene. Let's go.
I don't know about that.
Hall of Fame bailout.
Hall of Fame bailout.
Let's go, Eugene. Watch him. Hi. Liam, stand behind him. Good. Shelly, watch your girl. Watch your girl.
Alright, so looking at that up line, I wish that Eugene was a little bit tighter to his person because when you avoid that contact, the person's able to take a line to that's a little bit easier,
Good. Shelly, watch
right? And the recovery is a little bit easier. If he was to really go through a shoulder and flip his hips, that's when you start dropping people and getting lots of separation and being really shifty. So Eugene catches it, looks, throws, out throws Jen. Jen has good hands, but isn't a great runner, so has to adjust based on the gutter. So over here, Eugene's caught slacking. His person's all the way back here, and he has to catch up. So because of that, because of a momentary lapse, he ends up losing his person, and because he wasn't close enough to his person, he can't even call pick for this. Luckily, JP bails him out. But that's why we really have to make sure that we're paying attention. And then JP is a good example of why we do team defense. Otherwise, Eugene would have got burnt there.
No big. Yeah, come on.
Dive, dive.
That's a dime.
Let's go, Eugene.
That's also a dime. How? What? What? What happened there? Okay, so this is alumni versus. So now Eugene and me are on the same team. Eugene's in dark maroon. Maroon, I guess. I don't get that. Keith. I should do a breakdown on Keith. So you could see that Eugene is over there. Well, how did that happen? So what happens is JP pulls off right away. Lots of separation there. And JP follows the frisbee and is able to get the frisbee really quick. But Eugene's lagging because of that separation. And let's look at Eugene's mechanics there. So Eugene's running over. The frisbee's thrown. He starts to slow down because the heel, this leg, this is a braking mechanic. Makes sense. But then there's kind of like a hop there, and his arms are all out of whack. He should be dropping his weight. That's something we've been talking about recently, which is dropping to the basement, jumping off the balcony, and really getting low, right? But you could see here Eugene's torso is tall. He's not really getting low, so he's having a hard time stopping and changing his direction. And JP's able to get a lot of separation because of that.
Yum. Oh, bless you.
All right, so how
Yum.
did so somehow Eugene is Eugene is traveling this way and JP is traveling that way. I think it's because Eugene is always trying to do a bit of help team defense, but against a player like JP, it's a little bit harder to do something like that, and nothing gets burned because of it. And then Eugene flays out, makes a big mark, and then closes out. Oh, it doesn't really close out.
See, now Blessy's a good cutter.
And then you could see that Eugene started. He starts playing shutdown defense right here.
Oh, yum. That was so good.
I'm not going to talk about how I got burned.
Good.
So Eugene gets there, is following Josh.
Gabriel, go into the sack or something.
Is able to stay with him. So I don't know what this entire thing is right here. Between Eugene and thing. If Josh is closing out this way, Eugene should. Whenever you feel someone's momentum go one way, just go the opposite way. Just go that way. Right? But instead, Josh's momentum goes this way, and then he puts on the brakes. But Eugene goes this way. Look at that angle between this into this. Sorry. This into this. That's not a hard angle change. We want to force them to do hard angle changes. So then Josh puts on a wedge. Keith should put up something floaty here, like a scuba or something. He throws up a push pass? No, that wasn't a push pass. That was a high release daddy backhand. Oh my gosh. And then Eugene is able to sky Josh. So Eugene has the advantage here because it's going over Josh's head. Well, Eugene could keep eye contact the entire time. And you could see that mechanically, how does Eugene get there? He's there. He gets a little bit on the tall side. He's not super low. Some people get way too low before jumping. So right now he's in a medium. I think he could get a little bit taller. And then he goes into his 1-2 step. Throws his arms up. Oh, but the 1-2 steps isn't too clean. So the yeah, so there's a little bit of a stutter there. So he could probably jump higher than that. And then he has good body position here. So I thought this was the penultimate step, but this right here ends up being the penultimate step. One issue is when you're a 2-foot jumper, your penultimate step, meaning your second last step, which is this step, this one right here, step is his penultimate, and then this is the last step, and he jumps off it. The penultimate step should be a long stride. So this is not a long stride. This looks a little bit longer, but because of the timing, he had to slow down a bit. And you could see that Eugene immediately starts looking around. But because, like I said earlier, whenever you do a good play, laying out, getting a sky, you're usually not in a good mindset to do a good throw. And you see that in this case where Eugene throws a little too low. And if I were to criticize myself here, I'm doing a pancake catch at something low. What do I always say? I always say that you're supposed to do pancake from your hips to your shoulders. Shoulders above should be thumbs down, hips below should be thumbs up. Meanwhile, I'm making that same mistake where I'm trying to do a clap catch down there.
Sold the clap. Sold the clap. Nice.
Right, so there, I don't know if Eugene's intentionally baiting it. I think he's kind of clogging the lane. He's clogging the lane and watching, oh, are they going to throw it to Josh? And as soon as he sees JP looking at Josh, he starts getting close. And as soon as he sees this arm motion, he starts accelerating through it. And because the throw was errant by just a little bit, Eugene was able to get there and influence the throw.
Attack it, guys.
And then between me and Eugene, I'm closer to the frisbee. Eugene goes for the attack,
Attack it, guys.
throw him open, and then we don't think he's open, so crazy throw.
What the fuck? Just gonna lay it out.
Okay,
Watch his lips, Dad.
no one wants to go for He's gonna body everyone. Imagine. Bro, I was gonna go to the fucking Justin! Oh, and I like I turn around, I'm like, he's right in my face. Oh my god.
I'm just so over here,
Bro, I was gonna go to the fucking Justin!
that push pass is pretty good actually. I think it was just a little bit to the right, so I had to extend, but then I tried to keep going.
Around, I'm like, he's right in my face. Oh my god. No, imagine.
And then you could see, so you see Eugene and me, we're both going up along the break side, right? Because all the flow should be going up here. So we're not clogging at all as we make our way up. And then Eugene was saying how he was really annoyed by this mistake. He saw it go up, and instead of reading the frisbee, where's the frisbee? There's a frisbee. So instead of reading the frisbee, he started reading how everybody started grouping over here and tried to sky everyone instead of just playing the frisbee. So when you start to see people group up, at some point you should think, hey, uh, I'm not gonna get into that bundle. I'm going to play for the shorts or the fades. So, for example, with our angel, right? We sent three people to go deep, right? Ideally, we're aiming for the middle person. Let's say we go one, two, three. Ideally, the frisbee is going to be caught by two at this highest point. But if it's a little bit short, so let's say the frisbee goes into here. But if the frisbee's a little short, three could get it. And if it continues to hover over, one could get it. But we don't want too many people trying to go into uh, a huddle and trying to sky everyone. If you notice a huddle, play for the seconds. Don't play for the first there.
Blessy, who hasn't played for girls? Okay, so we got Blessy, Angela.
Okay, so over there you saw Eugene point.
So we got Blessy,
So Eugene
Angela.
threw, pointed, hey, look up.
And let's go.
So over here, I I don't love that he's going up the line. I think it makes sense. But I think one thing Eugene does is his uplines are too long. So if the frisbee's here, we're gonna say it originates from here. Let's go green is the ideal. So green, the ideal is this, let's say. Earlier, I did a cut where I did this. I was too shallow. And Eugene does a cut where he's going to up. So those are a couple examples of what not to do, I suppose. They're just not ideal. They can work, but there's a lot of flaws with them. Eugene comes back in for in cut, turns it into a commitment cut. And one thing Eugene is really good is always looks for the breakthrough first. He's always looking to break it. Throws it to Nicole, but Nicole isn't able to pull it in.
Yeah. No double hesitations, okay?
Eugene's doing wings here. And you could see, so one thing I like about Eugene's mark is his feet aren't super wide, right? They're in a way where he could dance and step, like fast feet. He could fast feet with the person rather than lunging. When we mark, we don't want to lunge. If you see, his feet are ta 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 ta. Right over there, he lunged a little bit, but I prefer. It takes a little bit more energy, but I like when I see fast feet marks rather than lunging marks, because lunging marks are much easier to break.
Josh, flat.
I pick up and overthrow Jen.
I'm okay, I'm okay.
Good hustle, Jen. Wow. Right, so Eugene's more playing Josh rather than the frisbee on that. So there you could see that Eugene respects Josh. And he's like, okay, I'm not gonna let you have the frisbee. What happened to me? What am I doing? Right, so let's criticize me real quick. I'm guessing Pat is just off screen. So let's look at my mechanics. So this to me looks like I'm just above jogging, just below sprinting. And this is kind of whatever, right? But I don't have a good read on it yet. I should start bailing at this point. I don't even look at where Pat is. And here, I'm too tall. If I'm stopping and braking, I need to drop my body. And uh, my arms being on the side, I should be, when you move athletically, you want to move athletically tight to your body. Everything wants to be tight for the most part, and your arms counterbalance a little bit. But if both arms are out, what am I counterbalancing? So I'm way too tall on these brakes. And then now I need to drop my body if I'm going to get up there. Right, so over here, let's break this down real quick. So Eugene gets it, throws it to me, immediately goes, takes the back of JP. JP can't see what's happening, and Josh's momentum starts going. So once he has the momentum of both defenders going one way, he gets low. Look at that low position that I'm talking about. This is low position that I want to see. If it almost looks like he's sitting in a chair right here. Oh my gosh, what happened to my mouse? But if you look at him, he looks like he's sitting in a chair. He could even get a little bit lower, right? And he is able to come out of it because of that. So he brings the momentum of the both defenders one way, and then stops, takes it the other way. I wish we went for a run there, but because Pat is there, it stops me. what Eugene should do is, because he feels Pat collapsing on me, he should look over and see Matthew.
What is this? Oh my god, the world is so
But he's a
different. I
little
don't
tunnel
know.
vision me, and Pat's able to close in.
They look weird. Why are you
And
laughing?
then Matthew overshoots Jen.
And me? Jacqueline? Is it funny? Oh! Is it funny? Shit!
Oh!
She said she's...
I'm pretty sure that was Obi.
Is that what? The airplane!
Yeah, I want to look at mine again. So I'm here. So I like the fact that I'm sideways here, because if I'm looking this way, it makes the defender feel like they should stand on that side of my body. If I'm looking this way, I bet you E would stand on the side of my body. So now I could easily go this way or this way, but the way I open up, I don't prefer. You could see me walk towards E, give him a little bit of momentum. Then I drop, signaling that I'm about to go. Look, I drop, and now E feels like he has to start moving. And then I start pushing off my back leg. So look at those back leg mechanics. I'm pushing off the ground over there. I should be focusing on pushing off of the front foot. So this should be my power. So I'm probably like 5 frames slower because of that on the takeoff. And then if you look at my steps, they're big. So those who've done sprint mechanics with me, um, do you know that the first 3 steps you take should go ta 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 rather than big? That doesn't make sense. They should be smaller and projected behind you. So if you look at the contact, here's where the foot contacts. This is where my hips are. My foot is in front of my hips. I want my foot to be under, if not slightly behind my hips. And so I'm slow off of takeoff like that. And then my foot is going a little too high. Let's say this is your thigh, your knee, and then your foot. So with sprint mechanics, the first few steps you want to take should be low to the ground over your ankle. And then when you start sprinting, now your foot starts traveling over your knee and you start cycling your legs. So my mechanics are just off there. Like seriously, seriously off. And then that's not a heel strike, but there's a heel strike, I think. So I'm not gonna get it. And I think that's a slow down step. But now I'm telegraphing that I'm slowing down. I want to go from sprinting to stop really quickly. So maybe that's my telegraph. But this is called a trigger step. So this trigger step is this one from a Eugene analysis to uh, Irish analysis. But this is called a trigger step, in which we stick out our leg, heel strike, and from here we drop heavily, drop aggressively to the floor to stop. But I don't drop that far. And look how many chop steps it takes me. So this is already a slowing down step, but this is chop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm stuck in the mud right here. And then look at my arms swing wildly. I don't want to do that. And then look at my arms. Why are they here? Like I said, I want to be tight, right? Um, and I'll be able to turn and rip my body if my arms are tight, just like a figure skater that's spinning. If my arms are out wide, it's hard for me to spin dynamically, but if my arms are tight to my body, it's a lot easier for me to twist quickly. So I want to twist out and then start running this way, but my arms are flailing all over the place. And my arms flailing out also gives a signal to the defender that I'm about to cut. Now both arms are out. I'm not in an athletic position. I'm trying to get out of the mud. And then again, not good sprint start mechanics. If you look at my head is tilted, but my back is pretty upright. So I think that I'm low because my head is looking down. But if your head is looking down, you could hear. I'm talking now, my face is forward, and as soon as I put my head down, it starts getting a little bit hard to talk. I'm gonna try to be as natural as possible. This is me trying to be as natural as possible, trying to talk, and it becomes a little bit harder for me to breathe. So I get a little bit more tired, and my mechanics just get completely terrible.
Oh my god, Mikey's so tall. Oh my god! Wow!
Okay, let's look at since I was looking at my sprint mechanics. Let's look at Eugene's. So right there, you already see a heel strike, and you can see what I mean by the foot going over the knee when you're at full speed. Look at his foot; it goes through the knee. But that I don't think that's heel strike. I think that's a good strike. But if you look at where it's placed, it looks a little bit in front of his hips. Maybe it's camera angle, but it looks in front of him. It looks like heel strike. That's definitely heel strike. And then he should be around top speed, so he shouldn't be leaning forward. Leaning forward is only for steps 3 to 5. Once you get to top speed, 7 to 10 steps, you should be tall. I have no idea what this is, but your torso should be standing up tall as you run. So he's consistently heel striking on his left side and consistently not heel striking. Oh, never mind. There was heel strike on his right. And then you'll also see that we want our arm motion to be mostly forward. But if you look at his elbow flares a little bit right there. It's flaring outwards a little bit. So it's not as tight as we'd like to see it. And over there, at the end, when he's trying to speed up, he starts having really bad back mechanics. So look at his legs. The legs take this long, swoopy motion to get back. If I were to exaggerate how your chain should look, it should have a big circle here, step in, and then snap back this way. So it should look kind of like a wing going this way, but at the end you could see that it started to look that's a little too much. Started to look like a wing on the other side. That's terrible. A wing on the other side. So that's what his mechanics end up looking like. Not yet. Starting to happen here. Look, yeah, look how much the feet are traveling behind the body. And there's quite a few heel strikes there. And you could see the body starting to get out of balance there.
Oh, you've been practicing for a year. They haven't played together. I've played for like 2 months. It should be winning.
Nice throw, nice leading pass. Matthew hesitated there. I'm just rewatching the alumni game all over again, basically. Okay, Eugene's using Flamingo, watching the eyes, and really stopping that backhand. So over there, Eugene makes one, two, three, a triple move, which I don't prefer. But he starts going deep, gets JP's momentum going there, goes in. Oh, no, it's just a single move. He goes deep before coming in. Yeah, perfect. And then you hear them saying ankles, whatever. Not really, but um, that originates from that pump fake, right? Whenever you catch a frisbee, always pump fake, and then miss throw there. For some reason Eugene's thought Kayla was going this way, but Kayla was going this way. But because she's moving this way, period, why are you throwing a backhand? There should be a flick, basically every time. Okay, so is that broken? So not necessarily. We kind of understand that swings are more or less okay. Okay, so that's basically exactly what Eugene did to me, but now to JP. And same things, same footwork. Oh my gosh, it looks almost the same. It's that athleticism, air control. That's something you have to work for. It's not something you just have. Okay, Eugene's playing shutdown defense on JP. JP goes deep. Let's look at the mechanics of that. So JP already kind of has him beat. He already has one step, but JP is able to create more separation. I don't know if it's because Eugene's not fully respecting the deep, expecting more of an in cut. But let's start from here. That's fine. Footwise, that's a heel strike. That's a heel strike. It's okay to heel strike when you turn back because like it's really hard not to heel strike when you're turning around to look. Heel strike, 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 heel strike. Backside mechanics are starting to get worse. Heel strike, heel strike, heel strike, heel strike. Backside mechanics are better. Heel strike. Oh, 4-foot strike, but that's more like a toe. His toes are starting to touch the ground now, rather than a 4-foot. Like this is reaching. He's reaching now, and then that's 1-foot jump mechanics. It's okay to heel strike on jump mechanics. That's just what you're supposed to do. And if you look at the arms, also, no, that's okay. Meanwhile, what was JP's mechanics? I'll look for that when we look at JP's mechanics.
Miss, I didn't understand the question. I voted for you. I only understood one thing.
Right, so over here, Eugene's chilling. You don't want to always look like you're a threat. But there's not too much of a point of closing this distance with JP. JP actually starts preemptively going towards Eugene. Oh my gosh. So JP is taking a couple steps back. So he's taking a step back, but then Eugene starts doing his move, and for some reason, JP already knows to close out on him. JP's just on top of it. So he didn't Eugene didn't have to go towards JP there, but the way he got set is okay. It's kind of like a jump cut. And then I like the way he explodes off the front leg, not the back leg.
What's valuable player?
I vote you want to. You want. And most
And look,
improved.
because of that pump fake again, what does it force JP to do? It forced JP to jump that backhand side.
And most improved is most improved.
But because of the angle of the throw, let's see how he released
What's
it.
valuable player?
I
Pump
vote you want
faked,
to.
went to home position, and then he didn't angle it down enough. So that's the throw for a normal flat. If not, it angles to be an outside in. But because it becomes an outside in, it should have been an IO. The angle should have been more intense. Okay, Eugene scoops.
6 minutes left.
He really denies the backhand. That's one thing Eugene's really good at. When he marks me, I feel like I can't get my backhand off.
We just said what if? What if na pero hindi naman? What if it's how? Well, he doesn't like what? Who looks Filipino? The girl looks like Filipino. No, he doesn't. He looks like.
Man, I want a rematch.
Yeah! Stall, nice stall, please.
Austin!
Oh my god. Oh!
That was a good throw. That was just.
That's beautiful now!
So, Eugene takes a look, sees JP's over here, knows that JP wants to kind of come this way, so he immediately takes a line, taking away where he wants to go. Especially since it's Gabriel. So, if it was, let's say, E, maybe it's more likely for JP to do an upline. But because it's from Gabriel, Eugene knows to close out hard on this.
Why are you always slipping?
That's a break.
Why are you always
Eugene got broke right there.
Ay, naku.
You could see Eugene fully respecting JP. Yeah, so this is a crazy one. On is this on JP or is this on E? That's on E. So E goes for that in cut. Eugene is able to move with him. No shuffle. Good. So this is basically grapevine right here. This one movement is grapevine. It was tips. He goes into the run, stays shoulder to shoulder with him, and is able to throw his body forward while moving his hand into the pocket. So that was great body control by Eugene. Probably could have hit Jen if, yeah, ends up hitting Jen. Okay. So I don't like that call because it's a high risk throw.
This is last point.
Okay, last point. It turns out I'll be able to finish it in one. Okay, you could see Eugene moves ahead, but probably should stay on JP, especially since Gabriel is not really a handler. So, when it comes to Eugene as a player, I feel like there's been a lot of development. Right now, he's probably the best player compared to 2022, 2023. Um, there's a lot that we've talked about and worked on. Um, but when Eugene was playing in 2022, the biggest issues was that he couldn't, his throws were really sharp, right? And he had a bit of a hard time throwing to, he kept throwing deep consistently, especially if it wasn't to JP. Um, the cuts were not aggressive enough. He didn't really cut through people. And sprint mechanics is something that I'm really on top of people nowadays that I wasn't back then. They weren't atrocious, but when he starts bailing, the backside mechanics starts cycling through, and then the heel strikes are pretty bad. Mm, but some of the things that Eugene was doing really good has always been his pump fakes. The way he pump fakes and he flows with his offense has been really good. It really moves players around. The sharp throws are in itself is a weapon. It's just it didn't work for our team. There was a couple times where he tried to calm down the team. So the fact that he has a really cool collected head, um, especially when he got injured, had the mind to call a timeout. Um, even though it was so bad, he couldn't get back into the game. And then his athleticism and body control. The body control is crazy. Control. That's my cursive. It's not cursive. Anyways, who do you think I'm gonna do next? I think it's pretty obvious who I'm gonna do next. I think mm, you might not guess who I'll do third, but the second one is gonna take forever. See you in that one, Huskies.